Hey guys, for this video today, what I will be talking about is I will be doing a small rant on the NHL's outdoor jerseys. Now, if you're wondering why I'm going to be doing a rant on this, it is because sometimes when teams bring out special event jerseys for the outdoor games, they only tend to wear that jersey for the outdoor game and they never wear it again. And to be honest, folks, it drives me crazy because some of these jerseys that I'm about to talk about in this video are actually some of the nicest jerseys out there. Some of them are absolutely spectacular uniforms, and I don't understand when not only they are so beautiful, but when so many people have gone out and bought these special event jerseys that the teams don't wear them for more than the one game that they used them for. And that just drives me crazy. It absolutely drives me crazy because even the Stadium Series and Winter Classic jerseys that I don't like, or outdoor jerseys for that matter, like, of course, there's the Heritage Classic, there's been a Centennial Classic, and an NHL 100 Classic as well. I know the Centennial and 100 Classics are both special one-off events, eh? But the thing is that, I think that when a team spends all the time and effort creating a special event jersey, that they should wear it for more than one game. That's how I feel. And you know what, folks? This may not just be an outdoor jersey rant. It might be a little bit of a rant on some special throwbacks that we've seen as well. Probably not, but there might be a team or two that I can... There is at least one team I can think of that I wish would have worn a throwback they brought out in the 2016-17 season for more than one lousy game. But... Speaking of the 2016-17 season, before I go on any further, if anybody wants to sit down and watch me for 2 hours and 15 minutes sharing my final thoughts on all of the different uniforms worn throughout the 2016-17 season, feel free to do so. I live streamed it last night right out of the spur of the moment because I realized I've only got 30 plus videos that I still need to do. So I decided instead of doing a video for each division's team's uniforms for that season, I just decided, screw it, I'm just going to do it all in one go. And I ended up talking for over 2 hours, which was crazy last night. So I talked about that all last night, and I wasn't expecting to be doing a live stream for over 2 hours, folks, let me tell you. But anyways, with outdoor jerseys in the National Hockey League, what drives me crazy is when teams create jerseys and they only ever wear them for the one lousy outdoor game, and that's it. It's just, to me, I find it drives me crazy. And I'm going to just go off from the top of my head and list uniforms that I've seen over the years for outdoor events where they only were used for one lousy game. First off, the Buffalo Sabres 2008 Winter Classic jersey. Their white throwback. That jersey looked spectacular against Pittsburgh's baby blue throwbacks. Pittsburgh wore theirs and made it an alternate jersey the following season. Buffalo did not even wear that jersey for one extra game. Fast forward 10 years later to 2018, and Buffalo actually wore their Winter Classic jersey last season for more than one game. And honestly, I thought it was quite a decent sweater. I mean, I thought that for something that was a faux back, not a true throwback, but based off of certain design elements like royal blue and gold, striping based off of their 40th anniversary jersey from what I remember. I felt that Buffalo did do a decent job overall. It wasn't the greatest jersey in the world in my opinion, but for a Winter Classic jersey and doing something that was new, I thought that Buffalo really did a great job. So seeing it on the ice for multiple games last season was terrific. and once again reinforces the fact, in my biased opinion, that the Buffalo Sabres need to go back to royal blue and gold full time. I'm sick and tired of the Sabres in navy blue. And I know it's a matter of opinion, but for me, the royal blue and gold is a criminally underused color scheme, and the Sabres have never looked better than when they wore royal blue and gold. When I look at all the old photos and Buffalo Sabres goat head jerseys that I used to always see as a kid growing up, they don't even come close, in my opinion. But anyway, after that Winter Classic, I wish Buffalo would have used that jersey at least one or two more times. It was a great jersey. And you know what? At least they wrote that wrong off last year when they decided to wear their new Winter Classic jersey for multiple games after the outdoor game last season. But then you look at the 2009 Winter Classic, Detroit and Chicago, they both wore their jerseys for more than just that outdoor game, which was great. And then in the 2009-10 season, you had the Bruins that wore that gorgeous gold faux back jersey with that funky B logo on it. I love that jersey. I mean, it would be a great alternate if Boston ever decided to bring it back, which I would not be disappointed if they did. That's for damn sure. And the Philadelphia Flyers, we know what happened to their gorgeous Winter Classic 70s throwback. It became their away jersey, and rightfully so. And it has been ever since. But then there was the Heritage Classic that year. Montreal, the only thing they did with their jersey is they got rid of the white outline and wore the classic solid royal blue numbers with red trim on them, like they did when they won their last Stanley Cup in 1993. I wish that Montreal would just do that permanently with their numbers. I don't like the red and white trim on the numbers. I'm picky in that way. I think the solid blue looks better. But, you know, I can understand Montreal only wearing it that slight alteration for one game. As for the Calgary Flames, I know they were wearing the Ronald McDonald uniforms that were inspired by the Calgary Tigers of the 1920s, I believe. You know, was it a great jersey? Was it ugly? Yes. Of course it was. It was just this weird, crazy burgundy and gold striped burgundy jersey with beige accents on it. I mean, it was crazy. It was very, very, let's just say it was really out there for a design. But I still think that Calgary should have worn it for more than just the Heritage Classic. Even just a lousy game afterwards. I mean, I can't remember if they, but I'm pretty sure they never wore it beyond that game. I mean, I understand why. It was not a pretty uniform, but they created the uniform for that event, and fans did go out and spend their money on it. I wish that they would have had a chance to see it at least one or two more times. I mean, would I rather see their red retro third any day? Hell yeah. But when you bring out a special event jersey, I'm of the belief that, you should let your fans get to see it at least 2 or 3 times. At least once after the outdoor event. Then in the 2010-11 season, of course, we had Pittsburgh and Washington. Washington's awesome white throwbacks. And that navy blue faux back jersey that the Penguins wore for a few years as an alternate that I never liked. The funky striping. I tip my hat to Pittsburgh for using the skating penguin with a scarf on it that was never used on a jersey before. That was the original Penguins logo in 1967 that they never used on a jersey because their very first jerseys both said Pittsburgh diagonally along the front instead of having a logo. So that was cool that they did that, but, when it replaced the powder blue throwback, that really disappointed me, and it had for a long time. As for Washington, of course, they made theirs a third jersey, and it was a great jersey. And it's even better now that, if they're not going to go retro full-time, at least they've got their gorgeous red throwback as an alternate. And I know some people don't like it, but I absolutely love their throwbacks, and I don't care what anybody says. Then fast forward to the 2011-2012. That was the Flyers and the Rangers. I actually loved both their jerseys, especially the Flyers. And I was so glad that they made it an alternate years later. I still think it's worlds better than their Stadium Series alternate jersey they've got now. Beautiful, beautiful sweater. The Rangers won. The striping, I agree with people who say that the striping on the arms and around the waist is totally mismatched. Yes, but I've always felt it was a decent jersey. I mean, I know vintage white and navy blue, and it's something the Rangers have never had before, but I've always felt it was a decent jersey. And then 2012, 2013, that was supposed to be Toronto and Detroit, but that was canceled because of the lockout. They played their outdoor game in 2014. Detroit actually wore that Winter Classic for a second game, if I remember correctly, and Toronto wore theirs for multiple games too, which was great because I didn't like the beige on the bright red, but I felt that for an outdoor jersey, it was nice. It was a special occasion, and I thought it was cool that the Red Wings did a full back jersey the way they did. I thought they did a decent job on it. Even though, in my opinion, it's not as good as their regular home jersey, and not even close, in my opinion. Might surprise some people, but, Toronto's 30s throwbacks they wore for that game, I wish at the time they would have made that a third jersey instead of their 67 throwback jersey, which, it looked too similar to their home jersey at the time, and, it wasn't a bad uniform. It wasn't a bad jersey at all. I mean, but the thing is I would have rather have seen that one as a third at the end of the Reebok years. But then also, in the 2013-14 season, this is where my rant really starts to pick up, because then we had the Stadium Series jerseys that came out. The Anaheim Ducks, I know they wore their orange Stadium Series jersey with the chromed D crest. I never liked it, and it looked more like a prison suit, or a prison jumpsuit. But you know what? I don't know why the Ducks didn't wear that for an extra game or two during that season. I mean, it would have been nice for the fans. I bet the fans would have also liked to have seen the Ducks wear something besides a black jersey, either their black home jersey or their black third jersey. I mean, when all your team wears at home all the time is black, and you've got a chance to wear something different. I mean, if it were me, I would have had the Ducks wearing that Stadium Series jersey for at least one extra game, just so the fans could have a chance to see it in the arena, rather than just for the outdoor event. I mean, was it a great jersey? Absolutely not. I've never liked it, but I definitely feel that it was good enough to be worn for at least another extra game. And I could say the same about the Anaheim Ducks Mighty Ducks throwback, that when they brought it out that year. I don't understand why that wasn't worn for 2 or 3 games at least. I mean, I still think it's better than even their new home jersey that they've had for a long time now, since I believe the 2014-15 season. I mean, I get tired of all of the California teams wearing black all the time. I mean, the Kings wearing black is understandable. San Jose having black as an alternate jersey, no problem. But, I'd like to see the Ducks have some color. When I look at their orange third jersey that was retired last year as a result of the switch over to Adidas from Reebok, I see the orange Ducks alternate and I look at the regular black home jersey and it's not even close to me. Not even close. Their orange third is much better than the black home jersey that they've had for a while now. And I'll be happy to see it make a comeback next year if the rumor is true, eh? But, with the Anaheim Ducks with that Stadium Series jersey, I mean, I think it would have been great if they would have worn it for an extra 2 or 3 games after that Stadium Series game against the Kings. And by the way, I've always liked that Kings jersey with the chromed crown. I felt at the time that it would have been a good third jersey too. And they never wore it beyond that outdoor game, and of course one extra game they wore afterwards. But, besides sometimes finding that I couldn't see the names on the back, I thought it was a cool jersey. Really cool, I might add. But then, the Rangers and the Islanders wore their Stadium Series jerseys for multiple games. The Islanders actually made theirs a third jersey, and truth is, I've always found that jersey to be quite cool. In fact, I do like their new third jersey that is inspired clearly by the Stadium Series jersey, but the thing is I liked that Stadium Series jersey at the time because I felt like it gave us something new. I mean, now that they've basically brought it back in a more simplified, traditional way, I feel like it's something that I've already seen. Where at the time, the Stadium Series jersey was new. It was different. In fact, to hell with it. Why don't I just show you my Stadium Series jersey and talk about it a little bit here? But, I liked the collar, the chromed crest. I actually didn't mind it at all. And then, of course, you had the angled numbers, the angled striping here. And, folks, I've always liked the white shoulder yoke as well. And I'm glad that the Islanders brought it back. But, I still think that the Stadium Series jersey in some ways is better. But, as I say that though, I do tip my hat to the Islanders for at least having a decent third jersey for once. Because, I like that the new one's more traditional than the Stadium Series jersey, but it would have been nice if it had some actual waist striping, at least in my opinion. Even though it looks okay without it. I guess I'm old school in the sense that I prefer teams to have waist striping. It's a matter of opinion, of course, I know. But, then the Chicago Blackhawks and the Pittsburgh Penguins. I did not like what Chicago did with their old, long-time black third by angling the striping on the arms, not having the striping going all the way around the arms, if I remember correctly. A chromed Blackhawks logo just did not look right to me. It looked reminded me a bit like a counterfeit uniform at the time. I've never liked it. But you know what, folks? I still think that Chicago should have worn it for at least another game. That drove me crazy, because in that year, Chicago only had their home and away jerseys. They didn't have a third in the 2013-14 season. In fact, they haven't had a third jersey in years. Since they retired their beautiful 2009 Winter Classic jersey. I miss that jersey, by the way. Hopefully they make their new 2019 Winter Classic jersey an alternate going forward, because I would have done it a little bit differently myself, but you know what? I think it's really cool that Chicago brought out that black 30s inspired jersey. I think it was actually quite a nice sweater. I would have had the original logo on the jersey, but you know what? Still looks very nice. Obviously you can tell it's from the 1930s in terms of its design, but I like it. It's something different. And I think that, you know what, it'd be cool for Chicago to wear it as a third, but going back to that Stadium Series game, I don't know why Chicago never wore that jersey for an extra game or two. I'm sure they would have had no problem getting permission, especially from the NHL, when especially they didn't even have a third, for Christ's sake. And as for Pittsburgh, their longtime Reebok jerseys were not good. They were horrible. So I don't know why they didn't wear their Stadium Series jersey for a game or two afterwards. I've always liked it. And the one thing that pissed me off about that jersey was that it was in white instead of Vegas gold. I think that, you know what, if they were going to do something different, they should have done something special and gone with Vegas gold. That would have been really cool for a change. But then you look at the 2014-15 season. Of course, you had Chicago and Washington. Washington's Winter Classic from that year, I didn't love it. I didn't like it very much at all. But I'm glad that Washington, wore it for at least one extra game after that outdoor game. And you know what? It was never my favorite jersey, but I also think that Washington does deserve a tip of the cap for doing something different. They created a fullback uniform inspired by Washington's hockey history. And was it my favorite jersey? Absolutely not. But I'm glad that they did something different. And as for Chicago, why could they not have worn that slightly altered away jersey that was supposed to be a throwback, which it was, for at least another game or two? And to my one subscriber, Nick, I'm sure you would probably agree with me that it would have been good to see these outdoor jerseys for more than just one lousy game. Which, thankfully, Chicago is planning on wearing their Winter Classic jersey from this 2018-19 season for at least another game or two, if I remember correctly. So, for a few games this year, Chicago's not just going to be wearing red and white all the time, they're also going to have a black third jersey. Well, they're going to wear their black Winter Classic jersey for at least another 2 or 3 games between now and the end of the season, which I think is terrific. Or maybe it might just be one more game. I can't remember. But, you know, with Chicago, again, that was a nice Winter Classic jersey. I mean, yeah, it was just a slightly altered version of their away jersey, but it would have been nice to see it in at least one extra game. You know? And then the 2015-16 season, I mean, Colorado had their Stadium Series jersey that I think was, which their logo on the front, hang on, oh, now I remember it, sorry. I was thinking about something else, but they took their new Colorado state flag shoulder patch that the original Colorado Rockies of the NHL had in their short history on the shoulders of their jerseys, and they put that on the shoulders of their home and away jerseys, used it as the base of their new third jersey, which they brought back now this season under Adidas, with Adidas making the jerseys now. And what Colorado did was they had that as the crest of that jersey, and it was a half-finished jersey in my opinion. I didn't love it, but I most certainly didn't hate it either. It was much better than the jersey they had at the time that they were wearing as their away jersey, which I'm glad those Reebok monstrosities are gone, as I said last night, eh? But, you know, that jersey, I think Colorado wore it for one game after the Stadium Series, which I think they did, and I'm glad that they did if they did, because I like seeing an outdoor special event jersey worn for more than one game. Then on top of that, you know, Detroit had that hideous, well, I felt it was a totally hideous jersey, that Stadium Series one. I mean, they did a great job with the logo. The modernized Detroit Cougars crest that they used on that jersey was spectacular. But the jersey, in my opinion, was not. I mean, yeah, the diagonal sash, I mean, I understand it was trying to show speed and the fact that Detroit is the Motor City. I mean, I understand the reasoning behind it, and I tip my hat to them for being as creative as they were. They do deserve credit, in my opinion, for trying something crazy, but just because you do something crazy, or just because you can, doesn't mean you necessarily should. I mean, in my opinion, when you have a team like Detroit with such classic, beautiful home and away sweaters, or jerseys, whatever you want to call them, you know, I don't like it when I see a team with such classic uniforms like the Red Wings wearing something like that. But even though I did not like that Stadium Series jersey then, and I still most certainly do not like it at all now, I still think that Detroit should have worn it for at least one extra game. I mean, there were people that went out and bought that jersey. So, you know, what I like is when teams let their fans have a chance to see it on the ice for an extra game or two, even if it's not my favorite jersey. I didn't like that Flames Heritage Classic jersey, but I still think, you know, and I most certainly did not like Detroit's Stadium Series jersey either. But I would have liked to have seen them for at least an extra game, for the fans' sake. Especially when fans have gone out and spent like a good $130 to $250 on one of these jerseys just for it to be worn for one lousy game. I mean, I'm sorry, folks, but I disagree with that. And, you know, thinking back to the 2013-14 season, even the Canucks and the Senators in their Heritage Classic, I mean, Ottawa's vintage white version of their black Heritage alternates that they wore for a few years, you know, I always liked that jersey. I thought it was really quite nice, and I'm glad that Ottawa wore it for multiple games. I mean, I know some people don't care for the O, but I actually would be a fan of Ottawa switching to those O jerseys, the beige and the black ones, full-time over their current home and away jerseys. Even though I'm starting to think it would be better if they just went back to their original Roman Centurion logo, or the unused one that has the Roman Centurion with the scarf. I think that would also be a pretty decent crest as well, and I would like to see that as a third jersey at some point, or as the crest of one. Because I think it is, I agree with people, it's too good to not be the logo on the front of at least one jersey at some point in Ottawa's history. Sorry, folks, but that logo, it's, in my opinion, it's almost criminal that they never used it on an actual jersey. But, the Canucks wore their Millionaires jersey multiple times between the 2012-13 season and the 2013-14 season, and I think they wore it the season after, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. But you know what? Those Millionaires throwbacks, I miss them. They're very nice. I mean, I wouldn't want to see them all the time, but I'm glad that the Canucks did bring those out. That was cool. But, talking about the 2015-16 outdoor games, I've always liked Chicago's Stadium Series jersey from that game. There was just something about the massive striping on the arms that gave it a little bit of a retro feel. It wasn't a retro jersey. I mean, you could tell just based off of the collar, for Christ's sake, but there was something about those massive arm stripes that worked. And I've always liked that jersey, except for the collar. And as for Minnesota's one, I know I've said it a few times now, but their Stadium Series jersey they wore that year was one of my favorites. And I don't even know if they wore it for a second game or not. But that jersey should have been worn for multiple games. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't care. Minnesota's Stadium Series jersey, in my opinion, was really quite nice. In fact, as I said last night in my 2-hour and 15-minute live stream, as I'm filming this, they should have made that jersey the third jersey in the 2016-17 season and replaced the red jersey with their green third with the script on it for that one season. That's how good I felt that jersey was, and I still do. And I don't think it was worn beyond that outdoor game. And if it was, I hope it was, but I can't remember. So if it was worn for more than that one game, please correct me on that. I would love to know. But then, of course, there was the 2016-17 season. Pittsburgh and Philadelphia wore their outdoor jerseys for multiple games. And then, of course, there was the Blues that wore their 50th anniversary 67 throwback for the Winter Classic and multiple games after it. And then, of course, there was Chicago. Another beautiful Winter Classic jersey. And they only wore it for that game. I wouldn't have even minded if that jersey was in cream instead of white, just so that it would have been something different from the two white jerseys they wore in seasons prior to that game. But they should have worn that for 2 or 3 games at least. I've loved that sweater since the day it was unveiled. And same with the Blues, and I'm glad that they've made their 67 throwback a third this year, because I love that jersey. The only thing I hate is that they use vintage white instead of white. Drives me crazy, but, with Chicago, another beautiful jersey that they only wore for one stupid game. I'm sorry, folks, but I hate that. And then in that season, the 2016-17 season, the Penguins Stadium Series jersey, at first I thought it was half finished. I still do, but now I actually do like it. And I think it's much better than the new updated Stadium Series inspired third jersey that Pittsburgh's now wearing as of this year. The Flyers one, not my favorite, but as a third jersey, it's not bad. And thanks to that awful new monstrosity of a Stadium Series jersey that the Flyers just wore this past weekend, I don't mind if the Flyers keep it for another 3 seasons. Because that last Stadium Series jersey they just brought out was bad. And I'll get to that momentarily. But now we'll get into the Adidas era. The Rangers and the Sabres, they wore their Winter Classics for more than one game each, which I was glad. I did not like the Rangers Winter Classic from last year. I hated the striping along the chest. And I hated that New York... the silhouette of the New York Rangers crest with the NY initials on it on every player's that wasn't a captain or alternate captain having that as well. I hated that. If it was just a captaincy or an alternate captaincy patch, that would have been fine. That would have been great, by the way. But when it's on every single player's chest, I'm sorry, folks, but that just does not sit well with me. But, and then the Buffalo Sabres, was it my favorite last year? No, I wish they would have just brought the direct throwback back, but Buffalo still did a very good job with that jersey, and I'm glad that they wore it for multiple games. And as much as I did not care for the Rangers Winter Classic from last year, I'm glad that they wore it for multiple games too. As for the Stadium Series last year, I'm glad that Washington wore their navy blue jersey for a second game, even though I hate that jersey. But as for Toronto's, that one is another Stadium Series jersey that I thought was really quite tastefully done. I mean, I wish the chest striping on the front went all the way around the jersey, and I wish that the shoulder numbers were between the two blue stripes on the arms. But you know what? It should have been worn for at least a second game, except without the white pants so that they didn't have the seamen look. If they would have had their regular blue pants with that for a second game, I think we could all agree that that would have been a decent looking uniform, at least for one game. But then, another team I want to quickly mention is the Vancouver Canucks in the 2016-17 season, because I talked about this last night, so it's fresh on my mind. I wish they wore their 94 throwback in that season for 2 or 3 games rather than just the one against Toronto. As far, sometimes some of these throwbacks are so nice to see that, you want to see them for more than one game. I mean, even in this season, in the 2016-17 season, the Coyotes wore their throwbacks for a second game. I thought that was great. And actually, for anybody wondering, I'm glad that that's their new third jersey this year. I think it's good enough to be a third, even though I was kind of hoping to see something new myself. But I'll take it as a third jersey for the time being. I think it's definitely good enough to be a third, even though it's not my favorite jersey either, to be honest. But you know what? I mean, so far this season, when you look at the Winter Classic between Boston and Chicago, Boston's wore their white Winter Classic for a second game so far this year, and the Blackhawks have worn their black jersey for a second game so far, and I think they're going to wear it for another game or two this year. I know they're wearing it for at least one more, which I'm excited about. But as for the Penguins and the Flyers. The Flyers Stadium Series jersey is absolutely terrible this year. I hate it with a passion. The black on orange with no white drives me bonkers. I hate that look. Like Adidas, did you guys not learn from the BC Lions of the Canadian Football League, whose uniforms you designed in 2016 that had no white on them? I mean, come on. Those were horrible. But the thing is, even though I hate that uniform, I still want to see the Flyers wear it for an extra game or two so that their fans that went out and bought it get a chance to see it on the ice at least one more time. And as for Pittsburgh, I actually feel that they did a pretty damn good job with their Stadium Series jersey. I didn't like the monochrome thing that they did this year, but I thought that their Stadium Series jersey was not bad at all. I like it. So I hope that Pittsburgh will wear it for another game or two. I'm hoping they'll wear it for at least 2 more games, because I think it's good enough to do so. But, folks, it drives me crazy when some outdoor jerseys only get worn one time, especially when it's a good design, and especially when I know that fans have gone out and bought these jerseys for probably retail prices. I think they deserve a chance to see that jersey for at least an extra game or two. Whether it's a jersey I don't like this Stadium Series jersey the Red Wings wore a few years ago, or the most recent Philadelphia Flyers Stadium Series Halloween-inspired abomination. And by the way, I don't know what they were smoking when they came up with those helmet designs that they brought out for Saturday, but let me tell you, whoever thought of that is crazy. And I hope that type of helmet design never comes back. The Penguins one was horrible, but less horrible than the Flyers. The Flyers one, oh my god, from helmet to skates was a horrible, hideous abomination that they wore this past Saturday. As for Pittsburgh's, if they would just wear a regular, normal, proper helmet with the regular logo treatment on the sides of their helmets with their monochrome logo instead of their regular one, that jersey at some point would, in my opinion, even be probably good enough to even make a third jersey at some point. In my personal opinion. That might surprise some of you, but I felt like Pittsburgh did a really good job with their Stadium Series jersey this year. So I'm definitely hoping it's going to be worn for multiple games beyond the Stadium Series game on Saturday. And as much as I hate what the Flyers brought out the other night on Saturday, because as I'm filming this today, it is Wednesday, February, I think like 27th, if I'm not mistaken, but 2019, of course. But I still think that they should wear that for at least one more game, just for the fans that bought that jersey. And, you know, the fact that they spent all the time planning and designing it, I think that, you know, they should wear it for at least an extra game. But anyways, folks, I know I've been talking for a long time again, but this was a little extra video that I wanted to do because some of these things drive me crazy, but also, oh yeah, right. I'll quickly talk about the Nashville Predators and the Dallas Stars in the outdoor games for next year. Winnipeg and Calgary and Regina, Saskatchewan, that's going to be awesome. I also think it's fantastic that both Dallas and Nashville are finally going to be in outdoor games. They both deserve a chance. But the thing that I don't understand is why Nashville's in a Winter Classic game. Like, I know that they'll come up with some special faux back jersey of some sort, but, you know, I mean, they could pay homage to the Dixie Flyers. That's a team that came up when I looked up Nashville hockey history. Or in the state of Memphis. I mean, or state of Tennessee, sorry. I mean, yeah, no, my bad. But, you know, I just can't see, I just don't understand why Nashville's in the Winter Classic. Like, I would have rather seen Los Angeles playing the Stars in a Winter Classic and have the Predators playing Colorado. I mean, that would have been much better in my opinion, you know? Have Nashville in a Stadium Series game. Like, I mean, I hope I don't sound rude saying this, but what's Nashville going to throw back to? I mean, I know there'll be something. They could be inspired by the Dixie Flyers, as I just said, or other hockey clubs throughout time that have played in the state of Tennessee and somewhere, like the Dixie Flyers. But, you know, to me, having Nashville in a Winter Classic so far isn't right. It just seems weird, but I hope that they'll prove to all of us that that they'll come up with a great uniform. I'm optimistic, but at the same time, I wish that they were in the Stadium Series game, and I would rather have seen the Los Angeles Kings playing the Stars in the Winter Classic, because the Kings have not been in a Winter Classic yet. And what I think would have been nice is, because I know that the Dallas Stars bought the rights to the Dallas Texans jersey and logo. So if they're going to, which I think that Dallas is going to bring out a white jersey next year, a Dallas Texans throwback for the Winter Classic next year. Imagine that against, say, the Los Angeles Kings purple 67 throwback. Would that not be a beautiful matchup? I mean, come on. I mean, I still think that Los Angeles should have been in the Winter Classic and Nashville should have been in the Stadium Series, but you know what? At this point, I'm just glad that there's going to be two NHL teams that are finally getting to be in an outdoor game. And to you Dallas and Nashville fans out there, I want you to both know that I am really happy for you guys. You all deserve a chance to see your team outdoors. But I'm hoping that going forward, we're now going to start to see the remaining teams like Arizona, Carolina, Florida, Tampa Bay. I'm not worried about Las Vegas because I know they're going to get an outdoor game at some point because they're Vegas. I mean, who isn't going to want to see an outdoor game in Las Vegas somewhere? I mean, it will happen. I mean, they may not be hosting an outdoor game right away, but I know that the Golden Knights, especially with their amazing Stanley Cup run in their first year as an expansion team last year, I think that they're probably going to be in an outdoor game sooner than you think. And I'll be happy for Las Vegas, and it'll be cool to see them. But I also want to see Florida and Tampa Bay getting an outdoor game. Carolina deserves one. Arizona deserves one. I don't care if they have had attendance issues in both cities. It doesn't mean that teams should be excluded from a chance to play outdoors. I think everybody should get a chance. I'm just looking at something real quick here, but also Columbus. I mean, So right now, I believe there's 6 teams that haven't played outdoors yet. Arizona, Carolina, Florida, Tampa Bay, Columbus, and the Golden Knights in Las Vegas. So hopefully over the next few years, the NHL is going to make sure that those 6 teams finally get a chance to play outdoors. And same with Seattle once they come in too, because I feel that every team should have at least one shot to play outdoors once in a while. But anyways, folks, just like last night, I've been talking for a while yet again. I just figured this would be a fun video to sit down and put together. I hope you guys did enjoy this, and let me know how you guys feel. And to my subscriber, Nick, I'd be especially curious to hear how you feel about the Blackhawks one-off jerseys over these past few years. And I'd be curious to hear what you other viewers out there think as well, because honestly, I think that teams should wear their outdoor jerseys and special event jerseys for more than just one game. But, I mean, in the cases of the Canucks and the Mighty Ducks throwbacks that those two teams have worn over the past, 5 or 6 years, I mean, for one game, okay, fine. But when it comes to the special outdoor jerseys, I mean, those should be worn for at least more than one game. At least in my opinion. But anyways, with that, folks, I will call it a wrap on this. I hope you enjoyed this. And of course, as usual, you guys take care. And of course, as always, bye for now.